They should have access. Actually, I
Good evening, everyone. This meeting of Monroe Township Board of Education is now in order. I know we have a training first, but I don't know if we do the pledge at this point. I think so, right? I'd like everyone to stand and please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mr. Gorski, roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Ms. Arminio. Mr. Braverman. Here. Ms. DeMayo.
Here.
Mr. Kaufman. Mrs. Koloponowicz.
Here.
Mr. Nostine.
Here.
Ms. Carino.
Here.
Mr. Ryback.
Here.
Mr. Russo.
Here.
Mr. Rutsky.
Aye.
Mr. Board President, you have a quorum present this evening. In accordance with the provisions of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law, the Monroe Township Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted January 8th, 2016, at all schools, the Home News Tribune, the Cranberry Press, and filed with the clerk of the municipality.
Thank you, Mr. Gorski. At this point, we have something I know we're all looking forward to. It's a training for us on Google Drive, and I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Kozak.
Well, thank you everyone for coming early to go through the Google Drive training. Mr. Washington is going to run through the training, and I just wanted to mention a couple of quick things. Some of you may be familiar with using shared drives, whether it's Microsoft Office 365 or Google Drive, but it's just a way that we can keep the documents in one place. You'll be able to access the current and past documents, as well as if there's interesting material in there. You'll see once we open it up, all the folders, the committee reports are all in a separate folder. It's just like opening up a file cabinet and looking at all the files in there. So we'll all have access to that. There is confidential material in there that's only for the board. Anything that is of public nature goes out on our website. But this Google Drive, I respectfully ask that you keep it confidential because there's student information in there that we have to be very careful to protect. Okay? So with that, Mr. Washington, I'd like to turn it over to you.
Good afternoon, members of the board, members of the public. As Dr. Kozak mentioned, we're going to go through some Google Drive training today. So you may be asking yourself, well, what exactly is a Google Drive? You probably hear a lot of talk about, oh, it's out in the cloud. Well, Google Drive is that same concept. It's a place where you can store files in the cloud or actually out on the internet, and it enables you to collaborate with other users. The board asked us to look at this almost a year ago as we were looking at the refresh of the high school. Dr. Kozak has been a tremendous proponent of Google Drive, and actually the staff and students have begun using it. So Dr. Kozak said this would be a nice tool to use with the Board of Ed as well. So we're going to take you through the Google Drive. What are our objectives tonight? I tried to keep them very simple. If we can accomplish these 5 things, I will consider this a success. How do you log into the Google Drive? How do you navigate the Google Drive? Accessing shared documents within the Google Drive, creating your own folders in Google Drive, and how to copy files to the Google Drive. If we can accomplish these 5 things, I think we have met the goal of navigating Google Drive. Okay? After we take a look at Google Drive, I will give you an opportunity to ask any questions. I have handed out some documents. One are your network credentials for the Google Drive. That is on a little card here. You'll have your Google Drive account name and password. The second document I handed out was just this presentation with a space for you to take notes if you so choose to. So at this time, what I would like to ask you to do is, if you're using your computer, double-click on the icon that says Google Chrome. I'm going to do the same thing that you're doing. Now, Google Chrome is simply a web browser, much like Internet Explorer or Safari on the Mac or even Firefox. It simply is going to allow you to see content on the internet.
Mr. Washington, the username and password on that sticky when the initial
Or
screen
do we
comes
use the
up?
one on the card?
On the sticky is for the initial screen, yes.
The initial screen, okay.
Yes.
So-
This sticky? Oh, this,
Oh,
I did that.
I didn't do that. I put the other one
So we
in.
had to put this now in here?
Oh, you guys are ahead of the curve.
No, I'm not. I put in.
Are
Yes.
we there yet?
Yeah,
I got
Want us
that.
to put our email in there?
yeah. You can take this.
No, that. You already did this.
This
That's how you
is,
get onto the
this is, right,
computer.
just to get onto the
Oh.
computer tonight. I'm sorry.
Well, then I
Point.
just,
That's for the Google thing. So you should have a sign in,
I did.
okay?
Is this what I should do?
Yours is going a little slow.
Okay, when you get to, if you click on Google Chrome, you should see a screen that looks very similar to the screen I have here. If you see this screen, where it says email address, you're going to enter your Google account name there. It should be your first name dot last name at monroe.k12.nj.us.
All right.
We're still booting up over here.
Yeah, although it takes a little while.
So far.
I did this.
Yep, you're fine there. The next screen.
Actually, it's a great tool, and I appreciate using it.
Just
It's
takes
great.
a while.
It really works.
I'm going to hold here, so we're all.
I think you should be sitting between. I am very tech illiterate.
No problem, it's easy.
Once you type in your login name, you can go ahead and type in your password,
And it says
which
welcome
again
to
is
the
on
new
your card.
Right there.
Right next to you, sorry.
I'll type the password.
There you go.
Oh, I accept, I guess.
Click on that icon right down there.
I wouldn't let it, don't let it memorize your password.
Is it
Wait
case
a minute,
sensitive?
it says, please
is not
change my
case sensitive.
password.
Did you log?
Only the password is not the login name.
Yeah,
Sorry
that's,
about that.
yeah, that's what
Yes.
I meant.
Okay.
Password is case sensitive.
I did,
Go back, yeah.
camera.
Now, did you put your email in?
Yeah, I
This
did.
email, because if you put your,
Yeah, so it would be,
Hasn't signed it in. Because you touched it.
you got it.
You're older than me.
Like data?
Yes, ma'am.
6831.
Okay, that's okay. Now here, just type in drive.google.com.
That's weird.
Isn't that weird?
Drive.google.com.
Had you in there already, that's what it was, maybe. No, let's talk to Reggie, because it sounds like you were in there already with one password.
Please change my password.
Yeah, that's weird. Reggie,
Okay.
maybe she might have been in already on another password. It's asking her to change her password.
Try putting the same one in again.
I did.
And didn't take it?
It
No, it
came
asks
back
us to change our
this.
password too.
Put it in one more time, please.
Yeah, on the change password.
On here?
Yeah.
Oh, this is the password.
This is absolutely the hardest part of this.
You gotta jump over here.
Yeah. Go to drive. Click, no, it's not
You can
touchscreen,
have more
gotta
than
use the
one.
mouse.
I was just saying, it asked us to change our passwords too, so we did
Okay,
already.
that's fine.
Okay,
Hit
fine.
Go to
Okay.
drive. And just put your,
Choose a password you haven't previously used.
It's not letting you put that one in? Then put another one in, just make sure that you have to remember.
Okay.
Try that.
I have to use, okay.
It would be, unfortunately.
so, okay.
Just say, oh, got it? Okay.
Reggie, are the passwords case sensitive?
Passwords are case sensitive.
Oh, yeah, maybe, could that be, Kathy, when you put the initial one in? Did you do capital KK?
You gotta put in my thing, right?
Okay. I had
two
to
letters
change
in
my
caps.
password.
That's where my Google Drive is.
Better write it down.
Yeah, that's because this is not gonna help you now.
I know.
Begin, drive.google.com.
Steve's machine's moving a little slower than everybody else.
By far, the hardest part of this is logging in. Okay?
Oh, he just pulled up with my drive, that's great.
You're good. You're
We'll
in.
just click out of some of those things.
Say never, you don't want to save your password.
Yes, I do.
Not on this
You're not
computer.
gonna use this computer.
I know you're not supposed to use that.
Yeah, I use a password, I use Google Password Manager.
I had to put in a new password.
Okay, if you need to reset it anytime.
Yeah, so I put my new password down.
Okay.
So I'm
Link
sorry.
data, that's okay.
My Comcast, so I was
We're up
telling
to the
you,
My Drive part.
recognizing my,
Master
Okay,
password.
you're in, so hit okay, got it.
okay, I think that's.
I'm always the crazy person that can't do anything.
You're doing great. Now just type drive.google.com. Drive.google.com.
Okay.
He was like, you log in.
Yeah, you know, I didn't know where to find
Enter,
it.
enter. Okay. Where is, oh,
Oh, all right, I'll It's a desktop, but it's probably the same problem as my, I should have brought my laptop.
Okay, you have to Google that, I suspect you probably.
great.
Excellent, excellent.
You don't mind?
No. Who's not in?
Okay.
I'm not doing anything because I don't know what I'm doing.
Good. It's
Okay.
doing it myself, that's the, like tomorrow. I have a different problem.
Mr. Washington?
Michelle.
Just a comment just came up. When the board
Did
members go
not tell
home,
me the dress code today was
if they
red.
want to open up Google
right?
Drive at home,
Oh,
maybe
got a
near the
red
end of the
jacket.
presentation, we can just touch on.
Yeah, I'm gonna wear that.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know why you, go back up to this one.
So everyone's screen should look very similar to this one.
Yes.
You might not have any files in your drive yet, because what you're looking at is your drive. This is your personal storage space in the cloud. I happen to have a couple of files in my storage space. Okay, you may not have any yet because you haven't placed anything there. What we want to take a look at first are the items that Dr. Kozak has shared with you. So if you will, click on Shared with Me.
okay, is anything confidential? That,
No, we're just going to pull up the agenda. You're going to see the titles, but the only thing we'll open up is the agenda.
okay,
And actually, I have something else which, if we have time, I'll show you, but it's not confidential.
okay.
Okay, once you click on Share It With Me, you'll see items which have been shared with you. In this case, it'll be by Dr. Kozak, but it could be shared from anyone. Anyone in the world who shares things with you will appear in this folder. The folder that Dr. Kozak's going to be using with you is the folder titled Board of Education 2015. Okay? So if you double-click to open that folder,
Okay, why doesn't it say 201?
Which folder did
my
Board of
folder's
Education.
already open.
Oh, okay.
So go into Board of Ed,
Right.
and then you should see,
Oh, there it
all
is.
those folders?
Gotcha.
What am I supposed to do to open the folder?
to open the folder, just double-click on the folder.
I clicked on the folder.
Which folder?
The Board of Education one.
Okay. You know, you can look at it in two ways if you want to. If that view is fine, or that little icon there, if you click on that, it'll put it down in a vertical way. So whatever you're comfortable with looking at.
See, I would.
That's why,
Oh, is that what's tripping?
yeah, he has his in a vertical.
I can open it, I can read it.
Yeah.
So if I did this
And if you
like
click it back
here,
again, it puts it back in a
that
square.
one got list.
So it's whatever you're comfortable, however you want to work with it, but it gives you that option.
This one's better because it has.
Are we doing?
Good.
The list view, like,
Okay, so what you should feel comfortable doing this time is logging in, and we're gonna cover the login process again, especially when you go home. But you should be able to navigate the folders simply by double-clicking on the folder to open them.
Okay.
So look for the folder called BOE Agendas.
Here I am, January 13th.
Inside the folder called BOE Agendas is another folder called January 13th, 2016. Open that folder. Now hold here, I want to show you a couple of things about Google and Google Drive. If you notice my screen, there are some folders or some files there has W. That tells me that that's a Microsoft Word document. Google has the ability to read Microsoft Word documents. Google also has the ability to use its own word processor and create a document in what it calls docs.
Where I started.
Look at the blue folder, the blue file with that, like a square. That tells me that's a file that was created in Google Drive by Google Drive. In other words, it was not created with Microsoft Word.
Okay.
Now, if I double click on the file that has the W for Microsoft Word, it's going to open it in a viewer, which means I cannot edit it. I can only look at it. So Google Drive cannot edit native Microsoft documents, cannot edit them. You can view them, but you can't make changes. That's a subtle difference, but it's an important difference, and you'll see why here shortly. So let me say that one more time. If you see a file with a W, that tells me that file was created in Microsoft Word. I'll be able to view that document in read-only mode. I cannot make any changes to that document. If you want to make a change to the document, it will convert it to a native Google Doc document. Then I'll be able to make changes. And I want to show you that process. Yes, ma'am.
I'll be looking at these on a Mac, so are the subtleties the same?
Same thing.
Okay.
As long as you're using Microsoft Office for the Mac, it's the same thing. If you're using Pages, which
Yes.
is the default
Pages.
word processor, I don't know if it'll read a Pages file. But what you can do with Pages, you can convert that to Word and then upload it. Okay?
Mr. Washington?
Yes. Okay. Okay. What Dr. Kozak just said to me, in his folder that he's giving you rights to, you can only view it. Okay, you cannot make changes to it.
Just to explain why,
Use your
for those who don't know, I'm sorry, Mr. Washington, for those who don't know, when you open up that Google document, it's a live document. So anything you do to it changes it for everyone. And the first time I used it at one of our leadership meetings, somebody highlighted all the text, went to copy and paste it into something else and accidentally deleted it. So 2 minutes before I went to start my very first meeting for the school year, I opened up my laptop, I said, all right, we're all set to go, and it was like, it's gone. So with all due respect, I didn't think you would have any reason to edit anything, so you have viewing only, okay, just so you know that.
Now, if we take a look at this screen here, it's telling us a lot of information. First, I can see everyone who's logged into this folder. The letters here represent different usernames. You can attach your picture there. That's why my picture is there. So if you think about this from a teaching perspective, the classroom teacher got all of her kids there. They're working on the same document, editing the same document at the same time. That's powerful collaborative features. That's not the purpose of the meeting here, but it's translated to a classroom environment. Okay, now, so do you feel comfortable navigating the shared with me folder?
Yeah.
Okay, because what I want to show you how to do is how to create your own folders and your own documents, so when you go home tonight, I'm sure you're going to go home and be eager to practice. We can do some of that. Okay?
We're gonna go over to
So
Tom's
now-
house.
Is your home phone number? That's how eager I am.
Oh, we just volunteered Tom, we're gonna go over his for more lessons.
Well,
So-
he'll serve wine.
For a moment, let's click on My Drive. So click one time with the mouse on My Drive. Now, My Drive is exactly what the name says. It is a place in the cloud for you to store your own files.
Send me hard copies.
So when your kids ask you, Are you have a presence in the cloud? You say, yes, I do. Now, the key to computerization is having it organized. In other words, if you have documents, those documents should be in folders so that you can quickly find them. Otherwise, you'll just have a long list of documents, and it's hard to find anything. So I always say the key is your organizational skills. In my drive, which is just like the C drive on a PC or the Macintosh hard drive or Macintosh HD on a Mac, my drive is the same thing. So if I want to create a folder on my drive to keep my board agendas, I can do that. And it's a simple process, and I'll show you. You will click on New. Anybody want to guess what else you would click next?
Folder.
Folder. You're going to create a new folder. And you can call it Board of Ed Documents.
Oh, in the window that comes up, it
Yes,
says
just start typing it.
automated documents?
Whatever, well, Board of Ed documents is.
Oh, Board of Ed.
is a suggestion.
You give the folder a name, and you click Create.
So if we create a document, can other people edit it, or are we only on the read-only?
They can
queue?
only edit what you share with them. And
Okay.
right now, we haven't shared out anything. So,
don't have to
the
put
way we generally do this in the school environment, we share nothing at first, get used to it, play around with it, come back later on and say, okay, now let's share. We keep everything tight and controlled first, and then we give the reins, because if you give the reins first, you'll never reel them back in. So we created a folder. Now, if I had a file, such as blank iPad sign-out form, that I wanted to put in that folder, you don't have any files right now, I just want to show you this. I can move up to that file name. I can right-click on it. When I right-click, brings up another menu. I can say Move To. And it's asking me, where do you want to move it to? I want to put it in my Board of Education documents folder. Say Move. You notice the file is removed from this list. If I open that folder, it should be there.
And that's the whole file you just.
That's the whole file.
Okay. So whatever's in, there's more than one thing in that file probably.
This is one file, not a whole folder. But I could just as easily move a whole folder.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Okay? Now, when you get home, you're gonna say, I have documents on my home computer I want to put up in my drive. It's a good way to back them up for one. And the best part of it is, as long as you have a device that has internet access, you can get to your documents. That's a very compelling argument. Your hard drive crashed, it's here. Google's gonna back them up for you. Okay, so I'm gonna show you how to move a file now from your local computer, your C drive at home, or your Macintosh HD at home, to your Google Drive. Again, I can come over to New,
Should we do this too with you or just one?
but you don't have any files on here. This is as if you were home.
You want to, if there's Word on this, we could open up a Microsoft Word document,
Yeah, text document.
type in test,
Sure,
and then they can learn how to upload it
sure.
if you would like to.
Sure. I know what my time limit looked like. All right, so let's take a chance here. I'm gonna take a chance
Okay.
that on every one of these computers, there's at least one document that we can pull up there, whether we created it or not. Okay, I'm gonna take a chance. So notice what I did, and I want you to do what I'm doing. Click on New. And let's first select File Upload. File Upload. It should bring you to, in the case of these computers, your C drive. You can see files that are on the C drive. Let's see if we can find something good here. just move any file for now. The file we're going to move now, you're not gonna be able to edit it because it's a system file, okay? But if we had Word document on here, we could do that too. But I just wanna show you the process of putting a file up there, any file, okay? On your computer now, you should see a list of folders and files. Select any one file you want. Doesn't matter which file, just select a file. Double click it. You should see that file get uploaded to your documents now. Yes? Okay. So that's how easy it is to move a file from your local computer to the cloud. We did that with one file. If you had a folder at home on your home computer and it had hundreds of files in them, you can move that up as well. Okay, Google doesn't care how much space we use, they're very generous to us. Okay?
Can you upload them as in one big swoop?
In one big swoop, yes. Instead of selecting from new,
Oh, it's still uploading.
Oh, okay.
you're gonna
You have a really
select
slow machine.
folder upload, and you'll upload the whole folder. How we doing? Now,
Still uploading.
still uploading?
So's mine.
If you chose a big folder, it doesn't take you time.
How do we know if we chose it?
I figures I chose. Did you just upload in Word?
Yeah, it's got 18 and I gotta get up to 32.
I would like to show you at least one more thing. And what I'd like to show you is, let's assume
Yeah, mine's kilobytes.
you don't have Word at home, but you want to create a file in Google Docs. You're going to create your own document. Okay? I want to show you the process of creating a document in Google Drive. So again, we're going to come back to New, click the New word, and we're going to create a new Google Doc. Okay, so let's click Google Docs. It's going to bring up what looks like a word processor.
Okay.
Does everyone have something that looks similar to this?
Okay, let's see. Oh, I'm uploaded.
Now,
Hillary didn't need them.
yes, it is.
What did you say?
One of the other great features of Google,
Because Hillary didn't need them.
Google saves automatically. You don't have to save. It'll save by itself. So the first thing I do when I create a new document in Google, I give it a name. So if you click where it says Untitled, just say, give your document a name. My first Google document.
Enter. After.
And just hit enter. So that document has a name now. Now, let's type some information in your document. I'll type hello world. That's always the first thing you do with a programming language. You learn how to say, speak to the world, you say hello world. Okay, notice I have not saved the document. I never hit save. So if you've typed your narrative in your document, just close that tab by hitting the X in the upper right-hand corner. Notice I never saved it. And notice, here's my document, my first Google document, that's the name I gave it. And if I open it, it will have saved my contents, and I never hit save. Open the document.
Got it.
It says hello world.
I don't know.
Not there. Click, just.
So how we doing?
This is where I was just here.
Okay, I don't want to give you information overload, but your homework assignment, go home and create your first Google document. Do you have any questions as far as a overview of how Google Drive works? Yes, sir.
Could we just go over how if we wanted to share a document with the board? Send somebody a link like Dr. Kovacs did to us before?
Okay. I'm going to close out this document, my first document. Now, the document, we'll look at a document, you're sharing a folder would be the same way except it's an entire folder versus a document. Select the document you want to share, and you right-click on it. Again, it brings down another menu. You select Share. When you select Share, it's going to ask you to enter the name or email address of a person. Now, there's something subtle here that I want to show you. So if I'm sharing this with you, Mr. Nothstein, I'm going to type in your name, your email address, Tom.Nothstein. And notice here to the right, it says Can Edit. If I leave it as Can Edit, you will be able to make changes to this document. However, if I say it Can View, you can only see it. It'll still be shared with you, but you can't change this document. Doesn't mean you can't take that document and move it to your drive and edit it. You could do that.
You did that already.
Now, if you're sharing with multiple people, you just hit enter, where I type your name and enter the next person's email address, and it will share with all of them. And they receive a notification that you have shared the document with them. Is that okay?
Perfect.
Any additional questions? Yes, sir.
For the purpose of tonight, I mean, if people are comfortable, can you show them how to open up the agenda for tonight? And also open up maybe the backup material so that they can have the tabs and they can just read off the computer tonight if they want to follow the agenda tonight. It would be a good practice. You know, even if you keep your hard copy next to you, it would be a good practice to go through, just to follow through.
Okay. So we're going to go through the process of opening tonight's agenda, and we'll open the backup documents so that you can look at them at your leisure as the Board of Ed meeting is going on. So here, I'm just going to cancel out of here. I'm not going to share this document.
Okay, it's 6:30.
Okay,
Cancel out.
Say done.
I just canceled.
Sure.
If I'm back to here, and I got here, who knows how do I get back to my,
If you went to Chrome.
you in?
Don't
Go
close
back
that.
to here?
Linked to my data. I hope I was supposed to.
Okay, so let's navigate to the
Yeah.
Shared With Me folder.
Oh, I have to type in that,
Right,
up on the top.
correct. And then
So I clicked on Shared With Me.
Okay, thank you.
Shared with me.
Bring back.
You're going to open the Board of Education folder.
We're actually not supposed to be using our own iPad.
And you're going to open the folder that says BOE
Use a printed
Agendas.
agenda, but let's see what happens with this.
BOE agendas.
Come down to January 13th, 2016.
Yeah. Double click that.
You should see 7 files in that folder, 7. Okay. So the actual agenda, you have 2 different versions of the agenda. I would probably guess that they're the same document. One's created in Word, the other one's created in Google Docs. So you could probably open either one of them. I'll open the Word one. Okay, so that's the agenda. That's what we're going through now.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much.
How can we keep the agenda open and the backup docs at the same
How do I
time?
get to the next page?
Should open you in it. Go back to your Google Docs. On this tab to the left. No, you do it to the left.
here, and it'll keep this open.
I'm so
Okay,
excited.
This one? Oh, and then
And the
just
next
do
one.
backup. Thank you.
Just can't hide it.
And they'll all stay open, and I can navigate
You're getting the agenda, right?
just pressing on it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
No, because everything is now going to be on Google
Yeah.
Docs.
Now
And I didn't know how to get
Reggie,
there.
when I opened this, on the top, it lists Marvin, Mike, and Steve. Does that mean they're looking at the same version of the document as me?
Yes.
Okay.
Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
Pretty scary.
How come I don't have that?
Because you opened the Word version.
Oh, all
Did you,
right.
or did you open the?
I don't.
No, you're right. That's why, because the Word doesn't have the smarts that the Google does to know.
Okay, so now if I wanted to open the Google version,
Just close it.
close this.
Open this one.
You can always move your mouse, if you're on the PC, you can move your mouse down to the Google
there you
Chrome
are.
here, you can see the various things that are open, and
Look at
just
that.
switch in between them.
We have 3 M's.
Click on that. That will show you all of your accounts. So when you're at home,
You're red. Well, I'm not there.
your account, you'll be able to go back and
Oh,
forth
I
between
could
the
add
two
that
of them.
account. Okay.
Yep, so you can,
How we doing?
Okay, good, thanks.
How did you open it? You don't see you?
I don't see me.
Oh, so I'm okay?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, you're pretty
And
red.
if I just put my account and add it, they'll just add it to the, yeah, because that's the thing that's, it asking, it says I have a wrong account.
Right.
yeah, you have to go back and forth. In order to get
I need
on this
another
one, you'll
tab.
have
You need help because I could probably help you now.
.k12.
Yeah,
It just took me a
that wasn't
second
it.
to-
I
Or hit the up.
Oh, you have
said
your
I
own
did it, but
place
when I
card here?
go back
Yeah,
in
so that's your address.
personal computer, so then maybe I
You have
have
to
to
go back and go, yeah, you have to add both.
Okay.
Add both accounts.
Thing is, I gotta use it.
Did it, and then I put it,
They're all open.
then it was like the glitch, and I think Reggie said that it was my home account that was the problem.
Now, one thing I want to show you, because I know
Thank you.
when we set up your accounts, many of you have Gmail. If you have Gmail, you already have a presence on Google, it's going to be very, very, very important that you log out of one account before you log into the other. Otherwise, you won't see your documents. Like when you're using Gmail, you really are logged into Google. So you need to be able to log out of one account and then log into your board account. Otherwise, you won't see the material. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to log out of Google. Okay? So here I'm going to just go back to drive.google.com, which takes me to the beginning. Drive.google.com, and that's on the handout you have. And I switch between these aliases all the time. I confuse myself who am I logged in with. So to log out, you go to the upper right-hand corner and you look for the symbol for you. Either be a picture of you or the first letter of your name or something like that. And left click on that. Once you do that, you should see who you're logged in as. And if you're in Gmail, it may say Kaufman@gmail.com. Okay? Because a lot of you use Gmail. So you have to sign out. That logs you out of your Gmail account. On the computer I use all the time, I probably got 5 different accounts here. It depends on what I'm doing. So this one will always stay now, the Reggie.Washington@Monroe.K12, but you could add in a different account. And this may be where you want to have your Gmail account. And that's how you keep things separate. It's kind of confusing in the beginning,
Oh, add account, I should add.
but always know who you're logged in as. That'll give you a clue. If you're logged in with your Gmail account, you will not see the files and folders. You have to be logged in with the lou.kaufman@monroe.k12.nj.us.
I'll do it.
Or marvin.braverman@monroe.k12.nj.us. So it's important. You have to log in with that account. That's probably the most common support call we get. I don't see my files. Say, who are you logged in at? me@gmail.com. You're correct. You don't see your files. You have to log out and use the district account. The district account will prevent any ads from coming up. You'll get no solicitation. None of that stuff you see out on the internet happens with a school-based account. All right, at this point in time, I'm getting the hook. I guess I'll talk to you later.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So if you want to stay logged in and use the agenda is the most current agenda is up here. Another advantage for us is we send out the agenda on Friday. We get all kinds of different things coming in between Friday and Wednesday, the board meeting. So if you get used to using it on Google Drive, you'll see all the latest updates, and we don't have to keep on sending out updated Word documents and things like that. All right? Okay. We have a photographer here for tonight, and I'm going to ask him to come over and direct us in what order, how you want the picture taken.
Group picture first.
Group picture? Okay, where would you like us to be?
You want to set it up here? Please,
With the flags in the background?
yeah.
Okay.
Better. But just put the lid on bottom.
Yes. Yeah, I'll put it on the floor.
Ah, thank you.
Sure.
Okay.
And you want everyone to come up here?
Yes, we're gonna do 2 rows, sitting and standing.
Oh, sitting and standing, so we'll pull the chairs out?
Who's your suit?
Who's the suit? I'm gonna sit? Oh, okay. Next to Mr. Board President?
Whatever.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4. 7.
I didn't wear red, I feel terrible.
Shut the photo
5
bomb,
sitting
right?
in there.
Okay.
Just don't do that. No signals.
Okay, and then we'll need individual headshots, folks, okay? Anyway, do me a favor, gentlemen, let's button the jackets. Nice and tall.
Okay.
Slide in.
Mr. Braver?
Slide forward.
Okay.
No picture?
yes. Okay.
Okay.
Slide a little bit more to your right there.
I won't bite, I
A little bit
promise.
to your right, sir.
I don't even bark.
There, now, slide over here. Favor, let's do a little bit, can you stay in the middle? A little triangular composition here. Okay, man, can you switch on the other side?
Let me go to
Yes, please.
end.
There you go. And look closer, everybody. There you go.
Oh, no, I didn't. I didn't know what you meant.
Good smiles.
Okay, ma'am, and two. Move to your left a little. I can't see. Move to your left a little bit. Sir, can you slide a little bit to your right?
Me?
Yes. Right there, that's it.
Slide to the right.
I want to give him some room.
Tall. Hold it. Come on. Keep it there. One more. One more. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Now. Let's do individual headshots. All right.
Really?
Let's do on the plain background.
Individual.
They didn't tell me, I didn't do my hair.
I didn't get my book.
Neither did I.
I'll take the amount
Wait
of
a
hair
minute,
you
you can't
have
say I didn't
over
tell
what
you.
I
I've been
have
sending out
anytime.
notices for like a week. That's funny, but it's scary that you know would have found it.
Too much information.
It's actually, I stopped using foundation, I have to use a Bondo bag. And, oh, you're not a car person, you don't know what that is. Bondo is what they fill in a car.
I was able to.
That was good.
A Bondo.
Wouldn't like that.
I know, you didn't like, okay, he's not sorry.
Mike, how was the collaboration efforts? You got an autograph?
Better Photoshop all
Okay, next person.
It is.
Yeah.
I got back, here, look, I'm back.
You know, their sheets and replacing that one.
I'm like, I got it.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Different story. Like that conversion.
Who, you are? Yes, did you notice that? I'm being punished.
Okay.
And then you can see what he did it when.
I have to go to the bathroom, so I might as well.
You don't have to be in the same room.
Must have had a lot of angry clients.
Not too many calls, but definitely, at least
Okay.
internally.
I guess.
That's it.
Right there, yeah.
Market was down.
There's always a debate reaction, people don't necessarily see it during the day, but it's gonna catch up with it.
And it does have, you can do, like, Google Doc, Word doc.
I can't see that.
Oh, perfect, okay.
Middle school.
Okay, who's up?
How you doing?
You don't have a problem with hair sticking up.
Turn your whole body right there. Got it. Look at me.
Are they gonna put these on the website like other districts or no?
You could, thank you.
I mean, that's all the others, a lot of districts have them, yeah.
Okay.
You gotta go.
Yeah, but you know, it's an individual picture.
Right.
You know,
That's what I mean,
Yeah,
like you're saying,
Yeah.
that's what, yeah.
Makes the public more, know people more.
Yeah, they put a face to it.
Exactly. Well, that's true, that's a good
Who's
point
it?
too.
Go ahead.
Okay. This button.
I see Patty.
No, no, just, yeah.
Do you go in already, Mike?
Work it,
Okay.
work it.
All right.
I was just told.
Okay. That's what he was doing. Oh, man, you are pumped. I'm gonna stand clear from you.
Hey.
You just see Marsh? Marsh? No. I read the book was fantastic, and the movie was just, you know what I liked about it? The science is true. Everything in there is true.
Hey. We got everybody?
Do we get everybody? Everybody get an individual picture?
We got everybody?
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
No photos?
The yearbook advisor for the high school.
Yearbook advisor.
She's the one in charge.
Okay.
Before then.
And the individual shots as well?
Yes.
It's on the website.
You're up to
We have
number
a
6.
website,
Yeah,
you
well,
can,
they're not
she
here.
can give you our link. You can get it, you know, you can get the pictures.
Thank you so much.
Bathing suit
Is
shots.
this something we need every time we open up the computer?
If you're
Seems like this is
opening,
Yes,
to
I'm on
get on
trials
the
tonight.
computer, yes. Yes, to log into the computer. It's kind of like the guest username and password to get on the computer.
As far as the Wi-Fi.
Appreciate it.
You could approve the minutes if you want, once everybody gets back.
Well, I'm gonna make mention that the students, yeah. Of course I want.
You can actually, if you want anything on the website, you can put it in.
But the individual pictures will go to
Oh, there's Mr. Foy.
the yearbook advisor.
Here, here's,
Whoever the yearbook advisor is. To Elliot, so we can put him on the.
Talk to my financial advisor.
I don't know who the yearbook
Did you?
advisor is either.
You gave him a call just to keep him on his toes?
I got
You were
into
here
that
last year, I don't know.
We've never said it.
timer at 50, and it's been, you know, I'm trying to catch the falling knife. So,
So
Yeah.
you say, go to the yearbook advisor.
hey, I told him, take some money out of
Okay.
So I said, who gets the
The
pictures?
yearbook
the
already.
bond fund that's just.
I guess that's
It's
what
on
I'm
my-
confused about.
I don't know either, that's
I
what he
have a
told me.
are we ready?
meeting.
Everybody took the picture?
When do I have a meeting?
I was debating that same exact
We have 2 yearbook advisors.
thing myself today. Exactly.
Yes, sir.
Are we ready?
Ready? Everybody,
You're
Thank
8
you,
minutes
Gavin.
early.
I will. We're still in session. I'd just like to ask the board members to take their seats. Okay, next item is the approval of the minutes. Like a motion to approve the minutes for the Public Board of Education meeting of November 18th, 2015.
So moved.
Have a second? Does anybody second that?
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Gorski?
Favor, any questions?
Oh, okay. I thought it was a roll. I thought it was a roll. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No abstentions, no recusals. Okay, I'd like a motion to approve the minutes of the closed session meeting of November 18th, 2015.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I assume there's no abstentions or recusals. Okay, thank you. At this point, we have the student board members' report. Mr. Thorney.
Thank you, Mr. Board President. Since we just had a meeting, the report's going to be fairly brief. As you may have mentioned, the Student Growth Committee recently met in order to assess the effects of the student population growth on the district, which of course is a big concern for the entire community. As I mentioned in my last report, there were two conferences going to be held in between the last meeting and this meeting, one of which was DECA, in which students from, in this case, across the region, competed in various business, finance, marketing, and hospitality-related events against students from other schools. Many of them involved both a written exam and a presentation portion in order to assess their skills. And we're proud to report that there were over 30 students who placed, and over 21 of them, 21 or around that area, were in instructional-related categories. This, of course, being an extension of a lot of the skills that they're learning in the classroom. And there were many students from Monroe who are not only finalists who are eligible to move on to the state conference, but who also placed within the top 3 of their respective categories. Also, the Model United Nations Conference met last weekend. That conference included students from schools across 4 different states, totaling over 1,900 students. For this program, students are assigned countries and committees. They conduct extensive research in regards to their country views, and the topics to which their committee has been assigned, and then act on behalf of that country. And we're proud to report that many students from the Monroe Township delegation were also recognized among the 1,900 other students for their excellent performance in either the committees or the court section. Speaking of which, the mock trial team had a recent event tonight conducting a mock trial at the municipal building. I think Dr. Kozak, I think you said you were going to that. I'm not sure if you...
I did until we had the board meeting.
Yes.
That was, I agreed to it before we had set the board meeting, so unfortunately, I was not able to
Right.
attend.
In any event, this work was done in addition to the competition that the students were already preparing for. Last year, they placed, I believe, second in the county, which was excellent, and they're going to have that competition later, and they're doing this recreationally in addition to their preparation. Finally, the last thing I want to touch upon is the AP testing that's being coordinated this year. For the past many, many years, the high school has offered advanced placement courses, which, because of previous presentations, I know the board is very familiar with. After meeting with the co-coordinator today, I'm happy to report that we are, between the students and the classes that they're taking, we have the potential for roughly 755 examinations. Some of these are going to be students taking multiple exams, but of course that is a very good representation on the teachers and the students within our district as the students take higher level courses in an attempt to get college credit. Mr. Board President, that concludes my report tonight. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Thorne. It sounds like you've been a busy young man there. Thank you very much. Next, we have a presentation by Dr. Alvik for the park data.
Good evening. Every year, we present our assessment data out to the public and to the Board of Education for your review. I'm also working with all of the schools to make sure that they have all of the the same presentation and the data, and they are working in their buildings to really drill down on the data. So tonight I'm just going to share with you some of the state park assessment data as well as our district assessment data. So in 2008, the New Jersey High School Redesign Steering Committee finalized their report, and as part of their report, they were focusing on creating a vision statement that will lead them through the adoption of standards and the adoption of our assessments. They noted that while New Jersey standards were high, they weren't aligned with college entrance requirements. So in 2009, they adopted new course-taking requirements for the regular high school diploma, such as 4 years of English and 3 years of math, including Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2. And then in 2010, they adopted the Common Core state standards in language arts and math, which are widely understood to be higher standards than New Jersey's prior standards. And they are focused more on the kinds of skills and knowledge that students will need after they leave high school. In 2012, the College and Career Ready Task Force reviewed the work to date and confirmed this impression of the standards. Also in 2008, the High School Redesign Task Force stated that New Jersey's old high school assessment, the High School Proficiency Assessment, or HSPA, HESPA, wasn't measuring college or career readiness, and it was all but ignored by colleges. So their recommendation was clear, and that's when they came up with a series of end-of-course assessments in English and math that we now know as the Partnership for Assessment of Readiness for College and Careers, or the PARC assessments. We gave the first assessments to our students this past March and May. So the PARC assessments replaced our old assessments. Students are taking the assessments beginning in 3rd grade. They were online assessments. The one thing that did come out of this group was students who were in 8th grade and above did not have to take the 8th grade grade level assessment if they were in a higher level math course. So students who take Algebra 1 in 8th grade took the Algebra 1 end of course assessment and did not take the 8th grade test. So in PARC, students' outcomes are divided into 5 performance levels. Level 1 is not yet meeting grade level expectations. Level 2 is partially meeting. Level 3 approaching. Level 4 meeting. And level 5 is exceeding grade level expectations. The state of New Jersey has determined that in order for students to be considered passing the PARC assessment, they must score at least a level 4 on the PARC assessment, both in the English language arts and in math. So to share with you some of the state results. So these are the results across the state of New Jersey. This chart and this presentation will be available on the district website as of tomorrow, so that you'll be able to view it closer. I know it's hard to read some of the numbers from a distance. So if we look at this chart, the way that it's been organized by grade level, grades 3 through 11, the first column is students that met, the percentage of students that met scored a level 1. The second column scoring a level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5. And then the final column in blue are the percent of students scoring a level 4 or 5, which basically means those are the percentage of students who are passing the PARC. This is the state data. So one of the things that they have noticed, and that that all of the districts in the state of New Jersey are looking at, is these are lower percentages than when we looked at the New Jersey ASC scores. However, it is a new assessment, it is higher standards, and every district in New Jersey is looking toward that. We also have the math assessments, and again, it's organized the same way, the percentage of students at each level, and then the final blue column is the percentage of students passing or at a level 4 or 5 of the PARC assessments. Again, noting grade 8 students, any student who was taking Algebra 1 in 8th grade is not listed in the grade 8 row. They are listed in the Algebra 1 assessment. What the state has looked at, it's very difficult to compare PARC to New Jersey ASC. We're testing different standards. It's being tested in a different way. So what the state looked at instead was comparing the PARC to other assessments, such as the the NAEP, which is the National Assessment of Educational Progress, and the American Diploma Project in Algebra 1. So they look to compare it more at that. They're also looking to see how the scores compared with the SAT scores and the ACT scores. And what they're finding is there's more of an alignment in the percentage of students passing the PARCC with those assessments. So we're going to continue to look at that, and the state is continuing to look at that to see where we can, how we can move forward. The state also looked at, end-of-course math outcomes and meeting the expectations. So if we look at the total number of students, so you have the count of how many students in New Jersey took the assessments at each of those end-of-course assessments, and then they compared it with the algebra assessment that was given in 2011, the ADP assessment. And again, what they were finding was it's more aligned to those national assessments rather than the PARCC assessment results. They also took a look at comparing the PARCC Algebra 1 assessment results with the percent of students scoring a C or higher in the course. We have to report out through New Jersey SMART every year our course grades in the high school, so it's reporting out that students there are a higher percentage of students scoring a C or better in Algebra 1. So across the state, what they are trying to propose and look at is looking at the standards and seeing what else do we need to do, how do we need to bump up our standards for these math courses so that we're meeting the expectations. So those are the state results. The results for Monroe Township. The way these are organized is, again, by grade level. There is a count of the valid test scores. In order for a student to receive a valid test score, they had to take the PBA, which was the performance-based assessment in March, and the EOY, the end-of-year assessment in May. They had to take both sections of the assessment in order to get a valid test score, and they received one test score for both of those assessments. So the way that it's organized here for you is you have, by grade level, the number of students who we received test scores for. And if you look at those numbers, we had a very high percentage of students that we received valid test scores for. Then by levels, so the percent of students scoring a level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5. And then the second to last column is the percent of our students passing the assessment, so scoring a level 4 or 5, as compared to the last column, which is the state average. So if we compare our scores to the state average, notice that in many cases, most of the cases, we are higher than the state average. We have noticed that our high school scores are lower than the state average, and we've begun to look at some of the reasons at the high school. One of them may have been some of the scheduling last year. It was difficult to schedule the assessment, so students may have been missing a class in order to go and take the test, so they were rushing through the test in order to get back to their class because they didn't want to miss content. Another issue was there was a lot of negativity through the press and with the PARCCs, and we know high school students are aware of all of those pieces, so that may have played into it. So we are really taking a look at individual scores and seeing, does that score make sense for that student? So the high school, each school is actually creating a data team to look at the assessment data and look at and see what we can do. So the other thing we also took into account this year is we've changed the high school scheduling for the testing, and students will have a delayed opening schedule so that all students will just be involved in the assessment, and then if they're not missing class time, they'll then be able to go to their classes. So that is the English language arts assessments for our district. These are the math assessments, and again, it's organized the same way with the number of valid test scores, the percent of each level. The second to last column is our percent of students scoring a level 4 or higher, and then comparing it to the state average in the blue column. And in all cases except geometry, we are above the state average. So again, it's something that we are looking at as we move forward with the test data and really taking a look at it. In our when we compare all of our middle school and our high school students, obviously there's one middle school, one high school in our district, so we know that includes all of the students. So we broke down for you the percentage of students scoring a level 4 or higher at each of our elementary schools. Again, looking at each of our elementary schools compared to the state average, they are all above the state average. Oak Tree has only 3rd grade in their school. That's why Oak Tree and Applegarth are split there. Applegarth is 4th and 5th. Brookside and Woodland had 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade last year. This year, obviously, the 3rd grade from Woodland moved back to Mill Lake, so it'll look a little differently next year when I'm presenting this information. So that's our language arts scores, and this is our math scores by elementary school. And again, all of our scores are above the state average. So what are our next steps? As I mentioned, each school is creating a data team. They've already started to look at the data through New Jersey Smart and the park information online. We are actually able to even drill down all the way to individual items that students answered on the assessment as compared to the standard and seeing where they are. So we're taking a look and seeing, are there gaps, are there strengths in our existing curriculum and instruction? So do we need to rearrange some curriculum, revise some curriculum, add in some professional development for our teachers? And that's what the teams are looking at now. We are able to drill down into this data by school level, by district level, by subject area, breaking it down by standard, looking at it by subgroups, item analysis, and student level analysis. And we're using all of those options as we start to look at this data. But remembering that this is one picture, this is one snapshot of our students, this is one assessment piece that we use. We use multiple assessments in our district for any of our, when we look at course assignments, when we look at eligibility for TAG, advanced math, basic skills, we look at multiple sources of data for our students. This is just one of those sources, but it's one that we have that we can use, so we're going to use it to the best of our ability. I just want to share very quickly some resources that we do have for parents. I have been working with the supervisors to prepare some videos. One went out for, Sunday evening through the Falcon Express to parents and community members on how to read their child's score report. Parents receive the score reports at the end of December. Another short video will be going out in a couple of weeks on resources that parents can use to help their children at home on the assessment. And then there will also be a third video going out from Dr. Roselle and Mrs. Gasco, our language arts supervisor and math supervisor, on what does each section of the park mean? What does it look like in the classroom? What does it mean with the content that's involved in each of those? And as I'm going around and meeting with all of the schools, I'm asking them that if they are hearing questions from parents, to shoot me an email, because we can always set up something else and more information. We want to get as much information out to parents as possible about it. So there are some resources for parents. Understandthescore.org is a great website for teachers and for parents. It goes over each of the parts of the assessment. It offers a video for understanding the score report. It offers a parent guide to the score report. It also offers some skill practice for parents. So if there's a student, if their child fell short in one of the areas on the assessment, they can go in and practice and actually go in and just practice on that one specific skill. Be a Learning Hero is one of the learning tools that they can use at home. Also, we're hearing a lot of questions about, well, what about typing? Did that affect our scores? One of the a free program that parents can use is typing.com. We're also looking at a pilot program in our media centers in the lower elementary and the upper elementary schools to try and get students to use the more of the typing skills to help them with the assessment. And teachers are using technology in their classrooms all the time, especially now, as you just learned, Google Drive. Teachers have been really exploring that option also in the classroom. So getting students to use the computer as much as possible. I was also at a faculty meeting this morning, and Leah Wagner from the Monroe Township Public Library was also there, and Dr. Roselle goes to the monthly meetings with the Monroe Township Public Library, and she's had a lot of questions from parents on how can I help my child? Do you have park prep? in the library. So this is a program that she's offering to anyone who has a library card. They can go on and use this. And all of our teachers also have access to this in their classrooms. So, you know, it's a great partnership with the public library to help share resources also. And that's it.
Thank you, Dr. Alvin. Appreciate all the information and the way it was presented.
Thank you.
Our next item is committee reports. However, the committees were just formed. Mr. Notstein? I'm sorry, yes, I didn't see any hands, so.
That's fine, I just
Okay.
didn't know if that was allowed at this point. From an administrative standpoint, were there any surprises in the results for either Dr. Kovacs or you, Dr. Alvich?
From talking with all of the staff members, overall, we were pretty pleased with our results. For a first time taking this assessment and the high level of the assessment and the fact that it was all online, we were pretty pleased with our results. As they're going through now, they're really now just taking a closer look on drilling down into the data. So I don't have any specific things that they're going to work on yet. If there's something that's glaring coming out, as I said, the high school's not thrilled with their results. But they want to work toward showing what they're doing in their school. I had a meeting with the high school staff this afternoon with Mr. Goodall. We had a faculty meeting where I presented the information to them. And they had some reasons why they thought that the scores were lower, and they had some ideas of how we could help improve it by being more positive in the school, encouraging our students, encouraging our parents that this is an important piece, something for the students to take seriously, and hopefully we'll have a better outcome with that, just with that piece. But we're just starting to look at it and drill down to see if there's any changes that we need to make with curriculum instruction and PD.
Mr. President, can I respond to that as well?
Oh, sure.
Could I add to that as well? Dr. Alvich is absolutely correct, but I just wanted to add to what you were saying regarding the high school. I meet with a group of students from the middle school and the high school. It's a student liaison group. So our last meeting, I said, what did you think of the park? What were your thoughts on it? And it was interesting to hear the students say, I had to leave my AP class to come and take the park. I went in, did a couple things, and I got back to my AP class as soon as I could because I know that it's not a graduation requirement for me. I already met that. I had no reason to do anything with that. That was repeated several times from the students. To address that, we have now, as Dr. Alvich has already stated, we're now going to have a delayed opening. So there will be no reason for anybody to leave a class or to miss a class. And it'll be maybe the first 2 hours in the morning for that 1 week. We also made sure that every single student, in order to accomplish that, has their own keyboard with their iPad so that everyone will be working on their own iPad. So it's not an excuse. This occurred last year with the testing. I wasn't here, obviously. My goal and the goal of Dr. Alvich and everyone else is to say, okay, here are the results. What are we going to do about it? How are we moving forward? How are we going to address this? So we're hoping with the strategies that we mentioned, as well as what Dr. Alvich talked to the staff about, and they in turn will talk to the students, that they realize that, you know, it is an important test and they should do well on it.
Is there any issue? I mean, to me, we're getting the results awful late. These 11th graders, they're almost done. The ones that took in 11th grade, they're done with their senior year almost. Is there any plan going forward to maybe get the results quicker, or, you know, so we can be more, you know, on top of it?
Yeah, according to the State Department of Education, the reason that we got them as late as we did this year was because they were actually figuring out what the cutoffs would be for the levels. So it wasn't just, okay, we're looking at the results and getting them out to you. So their hope, from what I heard, the hope is that we get them early in the summer. That remains to be seen, but that was the plan. The reason it took as long as they did is because they had committees working to set those cutoff scores.
And that was only because it was the first year.
Correct.
So, okay, thank you.
Any other question? Ms. Arminio?
Yes. I want to reiterate, you know, some of the concerns we had from parents and students about missing instructional classes, but also we're not gonna teach just to the test, right? I mean, we really should have a clear picture that that's not gonna be acceptable, that we want our children to learn, and we certainly want them to perform well on standard tests, but that the learning process is more important than, and how are we going
Correct.
to balance the need, you know, you're gonna get all the data and you want to improve on our scores, but how are you gonna balance that with keeping our,
We have never had the practice of teaching to the test or test prep. But what we should be doing is teaching the standards, and that's what our curriculum is aligned to. So if our teachers are following our curriculum and our assessments in our curriculum, then they will be preparing our students for the assessments and for college and career.
and may I? ask another
Absolutely.
question? How, compared to other tests, you said 2 hours we're going to have for testing in the next round? And
It's a
compared to-
delayed opening schedule, so yeah, it depends on, there's different days require different minutes for the
And
assessments.
didn't certain standardized tests are an extra day outside of the school day, and the parks are done during school hours?
We've never
Like
had
SATs
standard,
and all, don't they?
SATs are on the weekends.
Right, that's what I mean. Why can't park assessments be done so we don't lose instructional time? Or is that a mandate from the state?
Yeah,
We have to do it on certain days?
yeah, we have a
But
specific
that sort
window
of
that we
takes
have to
away from
use.
the instructional time. I know no one wants to come in on Saturday to take a test, but that'll change the instructional time thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Braverman.
I find it interesting that you said, the staff is disappointed in the results. Not ever being a proponent of block scheduling, everything you read on the website about block scheduling says that scores get lower. It's the way, it's the way the structure of block scheduling is that affects the way kids learn in terms of these articles that I've read. And I know it's the hot thing now, schools are putting in block scheduling, but interestingly enough, there's a school in North Jersey, and one of the reasons why they got rid of their superintendent was because he insisted on block scheduling, and they just couldn't see it. So it's,
I think, because it's the first year of the test, I think that's why we're seeing a dip in our scores. We had seen an increase in our scores with the New Jersey Ask.
Can I ask?
Sure.
I understand your concern with block scheduling. I just have a couple points to make. When I met with the student liaison group, I also asked them what they thought of block scheduling. And every one of the students, especially advanced placement students, the students taking advanced placement courses said, we absolutely love block scheduling because we go much more in depth in the content and it prepares us much more for college. I would also say that if we take the park aside and we look at our SAT scores and we look at other indicators, other data indicators, it clearly demonstrates that our students perform well. So I wouldn't want to rely on just this first-year administration of the park test when the scheduling wasn't the best as it could be, kids were missing class time, there's been a lot of controversy around the exam. If we saw low test scores in our SATs, in PSATs, in all other types of assessments at the high school level, I would say we have a concern that we need to address, and perhaps block scheduling is the culprit. I know that, I'm not saying block scheduling is the very best. There's many different kinds of schedule, modified block, a block, not having a block at all. But right now, it doesn't seem to hold, notwithstanding the park scores. All of our other assessments don't seem to support the idea that they're not doing well with the block scheduling.
Dawn, may I just respond to that? I think unfortunately, when we're dealing with students, it takes too long to come to some positive conclusions. And during that time, students are losing out. I think over the years, a lot of research has been done on this, and it seems that one of the negatives about a lot of administrators is they don't look at the research. And one of the big things about the block scheduling when it was put in here was it'll be a lot easier to schedule laboratories. Well, la-di-da, that's just terrific for the administration, but really, how about for the kids?
Mr. Braverman, if I could, Mr. President? Mr. Braverman, I respect you as a board member, as a person, as an educator, and I didn't put the block schedule in place here,
I understand.
but at the same time, I am very interested in making sure that we as a collective team, as our leadership team, is aware of the latest research and does check it. And I would, I would love to sit down and discuss block scheduling, some of the research with you and Dr. Albeck and maybe members of the high school administrative team, because I think it's important if we just become lackadaisical with the way things are, then maybe we don't have the best schedule. So I'd be certainly open to any time that you would like to sit down and go through some of that, and even put together a team to look at different types of scheduling as alternatives, to at least so that we examine everything. Okay?
Is what okay?
To come in and meet. Would you be agreeable to that?
I'm not an expert in block scheduling. I think there's a lot of information out there. Pi Delta Kappa, the Harvard Education Review. There's plenty of stuff on the website. I think you just should look at it.
All right, we will. We absolutely look at that.
Thank you. Anybody else? Lou?
So the New Jersey numbers weren't the best they could be. Oh, sorry. New Jersey numbers weren't the best they could be. Kudos to the schools here that looked like it would do really good, excluding the high school. How did New Jersey fare nationally against everybody else? Because Parker's national exam.
I don't have those results. I'd have to get those for you.
Okay.
I could, though.
We don't have them, but right now, nationally, I believe there are about 6 or 8 states that are using PARC. The other states are using either, there's another test called, I believe it's
Smarter Balance.
Smarter Balanced Assessment. Pennsylvania created their own assessment. When this first came about, PARC and SMART, the Smarter Balanced, I was really hoping that nationally we would have one assessment, because I too would like to know, how do the New Jersey students fare against California, Texas, Massachusetts, other states out there? Unfortunately, things have changed, and we no longer have one assessment like that.
Because it's stupid that we go to a Common Core, which is a national standard, and we have flavors of exams. It just, whatever, it's
Right.
what it is. But
I do know that when the parents received student score reports, the student score was compared to the school average, the district, the state, and the PARC consortium average. So I'm sure there's a report somewhere that I can find that will compare our scores to other states. The other thing we have to remember, though, other states also put a 3 as passing, where New Jersey decided that a level 4 was passing. So I would have to look at that, but I can definitely look at that information for you.
Lou, I remember reading something in the Star Ledger that noting that the state, Jersey, actually did pretty well. I think it was 6th or something, but we did pretty well nationally. I do appreciate your comments about the actual test, because a national standard and then having different tests, it doesn't just measure up. Dory, you said something, and you touched on this, but I think it's important to just bring it out, and if I'm correct, I need your comments on it. Again, I was spending some time, just looking for information, as I'm sure we all do, and I read something that said that as far as teaching to the test, that with Common Core and PARC aligned, teachers aren't teaching to the test if they're teaching to the standards. So that sort of eliminated that concern. I know it's a concern that many school districts receive. I just wanted you to comment on it, or
Yeah, and that's exactly it. We've aligned all of our curriculum documents to the Common Core standards, and we've included assessments, our benchmarking assessments that we use in all of our courses across the district are more park-aligned type questions to help give students practice, but it's really to have them more problem-solving and higher-level thinking with everything that we're doing in our classroom. So anything that the teachers are doing in their classroom will be helping the students to prepare for the assessments.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I just wanted to mention, having a daughter in the high school, that I could tell you 100% that they did not take it seriously. Some of the kids were writing C-spot run on the essay, and they were very upset at the national takeover of the education system. And so it's useless. The data is useless, really, for us. And block scheduling, the children absolutely love, because they wouldn't be able to do all the activities that they do if they had to do homework every single day. So I just wanted to say they do love the block scheduling.
But, you know, the students, the high school students who did take park seriously, that data is very important to us. We will look at that data, like Dr. Albica said, to see, are we, is the delivery of instruction as good as it can be? Are there gaps? So we will look at that. We, for our purposes, for programming, I know it's very controversial, and I know there's all kinds of things, but I can't dwell on that. I have to dwell on what's best for our kids and what's best for our educational programs. So we look at the park data as well as all the other data and see, can we improve? So that's why we take it seriously.
But you can't really tell, how do you know who took it seriously and who didn't?
Well, because if
really?
you have a student and we have 5 data points.
Oh, they're class grades.
Other things, and then the park data is close to that or nearby, then we know that they took it seriously. If it's the very high, very low, most likely very low, it's an anomaly, then we can't use that.
Anyone else? Okay, let's move on. Knowing that we just reorganized and the committees were just formed, I'm going to assume that there are no committee reports today. We'll do yours with mine.
Steering committee?
I'm sorry? We'll do that with my report.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Public forum. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone that came out in the cold weather today to this meeting. We really appreciate it. We really want to hear from you. We have multiple public forums during this session. The first one, however, is geared toward the agenda. So if anyone would like to come up and speak to the agenda, this is the time to do so. We'd ask you to just very clearly state your name, your address, direct your comments to me, your questions to me. Board members will not be responding or commenting on any question or comment that you may raise. Is anyone in the public interested in speaking during this public session? The next public session, a little later on this evening, we could speak on any topic you'd like. Yes.
Good evening, members of the board and administrators. My name is Darcy Cimarusti. I'm actually not from Monroe. I'm from Highland Park. I'm actually the president of the Highland Park Board of Education. I'm in the 3rd year of my first term, so I know Michelle and I know Tom. Where did he go? There he goes. We did our new board member training together a couple of years ago, which was fantastic. And I'm here today to talk to you about something that is on your agenda, which is the Hatikva International Academy Charter School. This is an issue, being from Highland Park, that we are very familiar with. We've been dealing with charter school issues for about 5 years now. First in defeating a charter school that wanted to locate in our district, and now dealing with Hatikva and their what have now become chronic, I would call, expansion requests. Just to give you a little bit of background information, because I think this is something that's somewhat new to Monroe, because as the costs are increasing, I think, you're becoming more aware of it, but has kind of flown under the radar until now. Hatikva was approved in 2009 by the Commissioner of Education, opened up in 2010. So they've been in existence now for 5 years. In that time, they've had 2 or 3 expansion requests. They've started as a K-5 school with 45 students per classroom. Then they expanded to a K-5 school with 50 students per classroom. Now they've expanded to a K-8 school with 50 students per classroom. Now they're looking to expand to a K-8 school with 75 students per class. So As the years go by, the school just gets larger and larger and larger. The thing that impacts your district, impacts my district, is that, well, although Hatikva was only approved to serve East Brunswick students, they have now essentially morphed into a statewide charter school. They're approved to serve one district only. Only one district gets notified when they want to expand. Only one district gets notified when they come up for renewal. But now they are pulling students from 28 districts in 7 counties across the state. And all 27 other districts, other than East Brunswick, are being charged by the state for the costs of those students. So Monroe, your district, has gone from 1 student in 2010 at a cost of about $10,159 to now 8 students at a cost to your district of $91,409. And just to give you some perspective, Highland Park being a little bit closer to East Brunswick, this has been more of an issue for us from the beginning. We started off at a cost of $61,847 in 2010. We're now up to $318,201. And we're a district about a quarter of the size of your district. We have about 1,600 students. So this has really become extremely impacting on our budget. One thing that I do every year, Michelle and Tom, you'll appreciate this, is I open their waiting list because it's not publicly available. I actually had to file a GRC complaint to actually get it the first time I did it. Now I just get it because they know I'm serious. But on that waiting list, there's another 4 Monroe students that are just waiting to get into the school for next year. This would raise your oh, that's my time limit, isn't it?
You can finish up.
Okay. So that would mean an additional $40,000+ to your district, and this will keep going on year after year. An incremental increase of 2 students here, 4 students there, 3 students there, and then before you know it, your costs have risen from $100,000 to $200,000 to $300,000 a year, and then it starts becoming more of an issue because now you're actually cutting teachers, you're cutting programs, and your students are losing out. And in case there's any perception that this is like, hey, well, you know, we lose a few students, it's saving us some money. This saves you no money. If you lose 8 students over 7 grades, none of your costs come down. You don't lose any teachers, you don't order any less books, your electrical costs aren't any different. Your costs may stay the same, you still have to serve the same number, if not more students as your enrollments increase, but more money is going out the door that you have no control over. So Highland Park has appealed the last expansion. Now they filed another one on top of that one, but we're still going forward with our appeal. And Highland Park is also challenging the state's ability to even charge Highland Park or Monroe or any of those 27 other districts tuition at all, because our attorneys have found that there is no provisions under the state charter school law that allows the state to charge a district other than East Brunswick tuition for the students that attend, just like a public school. Sure, I'll wrap it up. Just like a public school, if you accept a student from another district, those parents would pay tuition to your district. Our argument is that the same should hold true for a charter school. So I know that there's a resolution that you're considering tonight. I would hope that all of your board members, all the board members would support that tonight. Highland Park has been fighting these battles, sometimes alone. Now we have Edison, who's joined our appeal, but the more districts that work together to push back against this, the more successful we'll be. And if there are any questions from the board president, I'd certainly be more than happy to answer them.
No, I think we're fine. Thank you very much. Appreciate you
Thank
coming
you.
to share
Sure,
your thoughts.
my pleasure.
Anyone else from the public? Okay, seeing no one else from the public, I think we'll be able to move on to that discussion on Hatikva. Mr. Mayo, I know you have a motion. You want to start by reading that motion?
Sure. Whereas the Hatikva International Charter School is located in East Brunswick, but enrolls students from various public school districts across the state, including students from Monroe Township Public School District, Monroe, and whereas the New Jersey Department of Education requires public school districts, including Monroe, to pay for the students who reside in their districts but attend Hatikva, and whereas it is anticipated for the 2015-2016 school year, approximately $91,530 of taxpayer funds will be diverted to Hatikva that otherwise would have been used to educate Monroe students, and whereas over the past 6 years, approximately $211,020 of taxpayer funds will have been diverted away from Monroe to Hatikva, and whereas Hatikva has recently applied for and received permission from the New Jersey DOE to expand its enrollment to include grades 6 through 8, and whereas, as the result of this proposed expansion, additional students and taxpayer funds will likely be removed from the district in order to support Hatikva, and whereas, as the New Jersey DOE's approval of Hatikva's expansion application is currently under appeal in the New Jersey Superior Court Appellate Division, and whereas, on or about November 10th, 2015, Hatikva applied for permission from the New Jersey DOE to further expand its student enrollment from 450 students to 675 students over the next 8 school years or alternatively 9 school years, and whereas any such expansion will further negatively impact Monroe, as additional students and taxpayer funds will likely be removed from the district in order to support Hatikva, now, therefore be it resolved that the Monroe Township Board of Education hereby, 1, opposes Hatikva's expansions into grades 6 through 8, 2, opposes the pending application by Hatikva for expansion, which is currently under review by the New Jersey DOE, and 3, directs the Business Administrator Board Secretary to send a copy of this resolution to the Commissioner of Education, the Governor, and all legislators representing Monroe, dated January 13th, 2016.
Thank you.
So moved.
Second, so moved. Any discussion? Mr. Knopfson.
Yeah, I think that I had some conversations with Mr. Mayo and with our business administrator and with our lawyer, and they gave me a lot of information that I was not aware of on this. One of my concerns, I am a charter school supporter. I think that the intent of charter schools is a good thing. Roughly 30% of the student population in Camden and New Brunswick currently attend a charter school, and I think the results are very good. However, I'm going to support this resolution wholeheartedly, but I would like to also possibly have the board look into taking it to the next step. I think that this is a small first step. I would like to see, and maybe with Darcy's assistance and input, maybe we could work together and come up with a resolution for the delegate convention in May of the New Jersey School Boards Association, so that then we could have a resolution presented there that would make them legislate against these future expansions in high-performing districts. I think that in a high-performing district, I think there should be a test for a charter school. If it is in a high-performing district, I don't think that they should be as easily accepted as they would be in an underperforming district, because the intent of these charter schools, the way I understand it at least, is to give parents in an underperforming district an option, because as board members, we advocate for all children throughout the state, not just the Monroe students. So I think that there has to be a test for a charter school, and I think one of those tests would be whether the district is high-performing or not. So, like I said, I hope that my fellow board members will support this resolution, and I hope that maybe we can get a dialogue with with the Highland Park Board, who I know has presented resolutions in the past to the school board going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson. Anyone else? Look.
Other than the fact that this is New Jersey and most of the things happen here are stupid, if a charter school gets a charter from the state of New Jersey to service a city, how are they able to just go ahead and start offering the services to other cities and allow that to go through? If the charter is to help improve, as Tom said, a underperforming district, and that was really the intent of providing this service, how is this allowed to happen, to allow the creepage, if you will, to other districts that might be in the area? Can you, I don't get it.
I think that's a rhetorical.
I have some comments too.
Got nothing? No. Oh, okay.
Mr. Kaufman, after speaking to our board attorney on the matter, when charter schools are approved, they're predominantly designed to attract students within the township, such as the Princeton Charter School. And there's a lottery that actually opens up where there's a lot of demand for the school to select the students who go there. I would assume that in Hatikva's case, there's not enough demand within that town for enough enrollment to fill the ranks, so they open it up to other towns, which is customary for charter schools.
So other than it being stupid on that part for not doing the business analysis to know whether there's a demand in their town, you're just saying, just because they didn't have enough, and I don't know, it sounds like 70 kids in a classroom is enough based on the average standard, right? How much is enough? Like how are they telling us that 100 students per class will cover their costs? But we're subsidizing their cost, and you're getting, the math doesn't work anywhere.
If you read their application for the expansion, one of the reasons they give is for more money.
To do what? Just to have more money?
Well, apparently, the amount of students they have now are not fulfilling what their coffers need.
So if they're getting $10,000 from the state and our number is 15,000, okay, so
They're
that's a
getting 10,000 from
deficit.
the local districts.
Right. So, but we operate at $15,000 per seat. Ours costs that.
But that's a different calculation. When you talk about the money that's going to pay for the students going to charter schools, that comes from the general fund. That's 85% of total revenues. When you talk about the $15,000, that's calculated based on total revenues. So you can't say the $15,000, you can't compare the $15,000 to the $10,000 because the calculations are different.
So are they saying they need more money to cover their costs?
I don't know. I mean,
because I understand, I don't care about class size, because if a parent wants to sign up for that deal of 75 kids in a class, that's on them. Because they sign up for charter school. We don't send them there. It's a choice.
right.
Okay, I don't get it, whatever.
But,
Paul?
Can I just ask a question? Can I assume that we have no say in approving them to go to Hatikva? They want to go, we have no say in the matter?
we have no say.
Oh.
We had no say that the charter was approved, and when kids decided to go, we just got the bill. We weren't, by the sheer fact that we were not the district of residence for the charter, we had no notification in the process. We have no notification in the process of their application to expand. When the kids want to go, we just get the bill. There is no say by the taxpayers of Monroe if they want their money to leave to go to that charter school.
Pertaining to what Jill is saying, charter schools are certainly sanctioned by the Department of Education, but you're bringing up an excellent point, that's out of our district. Tom, you brought up a very interesting way of looking at things, and Lou, you brought up a very interesting question. I just feel necessary for me to comment personally that, when we're looking at charter schools, as was brought out, historically, they came because of underperforming schools and districts and giving parents a choice. Monroe is not an underperforming district. We're stellar. And we need to support our public school system. I think charter schools and the original intent of charter schools, I'm going to say, is a bit to not only offer an alternative, but to some degree undermine the public education system. And I think it's incumbent upon us as a Board of Education and all public school Board of Educations to support public schools and realize, the implied threat of a charter school. Yes, we need to look at what they're doing that's making them successful. Absolutely. We're always looking at what we're doing. There's always, some self-analysis there. And as Dr. Kozak was saying, we're looking at the PARCC scores. It's important for us. We want to maintain the excellence that we have for our students. This is an excellent school system. There aren't many that are ahead of us. Well, I just think that we have to do whatever we can to make sure that Monroe students stay in Monroe, and our state aid, is as little as it is, stays in Monroe, because every dollar counts. Any other comment?
Just one other.
Yes, Paul.
By comparison, am I correct that for VOTEC, for students in high school that go to VOTEC, that is not a cost on the district. That is picked up by the state?
The
So-
County taxes.
County picks up VOTEC.
And I think the state.
So that's obviously,
Mr. Rutsky, that's absolutely correct. When Monroe sends student out of district to VOTEC, it is paid for directly by the state. It's not paid for through tuition, which is how charter school enrollment is paid for, directly from Monroe's general fund to the charter school.
Kathy?
When people send their children in our district out to another school, private school, whatever, we have to pay them for transportation in lieu, right, Mr. Gorski?
Mrs. Koloponowicz, that is correct. The students specifically going to the charter school, Hatikva, for example, are eligible for aid in lieu, which is approximately $884 per year to reimburse the parents for transportation. So it's not only the cost of $10,900 a student, but you have to add to that the almost $900 of transportation aid in lieu.
So that's almost another $7,500, or round figures.
For the total amount of students, I believe that's correct.
I believe that because of, in Monroe, we do not get much money from the state. The taxpayers are the ones who are footing the bill for our education in Monroe, and I would prefer to see the taxpayer money stay in Monroe and educate Monroe students. As you said, we have a stellar educational system here, and for people to choose to go someplace else, it's their choice. It's not like we're sending somebody out because they need that program, as in special ed. Special ed is mandated to go out of district because if we don't have that program here, and that's where our per pupil cost gets higher because our special ed, the enrollment is high here. So I would prefer, I'm going to support this because I believe the money that our taxpayers give to Monroe should stay in Monroe.
I wanted to speak on the mic, but you're done.
Tom, did you want to say something?
No, I wanted her to speak on the mic.
Any other?
I'm sorry.
That's
Do you
okay.
want me to say it all over again?
I don't know if they picked it up.
Did
or
you
not.
hear her out there? Okay.
I just have
Michelle?
I'm sorry.
Oh, Frank?
Yeah, I understand the part about supporting the public schools, but I find it hard to tell a parent or a student they don't have the opportunity to go to a charter school when it's not like, for at least from what I hear, that we don't have enough students or more than we can even handle in terms of space.
Well, we're certainly handling the numbers of students we have now, as a matter of fact, and that's why we have the ad hoc committee and the Student Growth Advisory Committee, is because we want to be able to be prepared so that when the numbers increase, we will be prepared to offer these, to continue to offer the stellar education that we're offering everybody now. So we do not want to be in a situation where we're going to have 40, 50 kids in a classroom. That's unacceptable.
One other question. Has anybody spoken to the parents or to get any kind of feedback from those who are choosing to go to the school as to why?
That's private data. We can't have access to that.
But can anybody ask them?
We don't know who they are. It's not our business.
If they wanted to come to a public meeting by,
Right.
voluntarily and speak, that's fine, that's up to them, but we can't, Mr. Mayo's absolutely right. We
It's
can't
like,
do that.
it's private
private
student information.
information.
It's like someone can't come into the high school and ask about students taking AP courses, for specific names and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, that would have been a good thing to, maybe to at least have that as a requirement, where if a student does want to go to a charter school in a different town, then they should state the reason why they would like to leave this school.
Can't make it a requirement. They can go wherever they want.
Yeah, according to the state, the Department of Education, I heard Lou mention it, he's absolutely right. It's there, the option is there, it's given to them by the Department of Education, and then they just have to apply. They don't have to state any reason.
All right, and does this cost anything?
No.
No. There's no cost, yeah. Michelle?
The resolution is essentially just about not approving expansion. We're not asking the students who are already going there not to go. We're just saying that it's the opinion of the board that the expansion, that we don't really adhere to the expansion. I mean, we're not saying that charter schools shouldn't exist. We're not asking it to, change their position the way it stands now. We're just saying that our position is that we're not looking.
Exactly. We're not threatening a lawsuit.
Right.
There's no money involved here. It's just our position.
Right. Thank you. I want to be clear.
So I'm still trying to square in my head that if it costs us $15,000 for a student, and we send them 10,000 or so for those students, and it's not like we don't have enough students, or, we're a small district that now we may have to lay off a teacher because we can't fill a classroom. I'm wondering, like, Tom, what did you said because that was your position the last time, and so what did you learn that changed just the financial part of this? Because I still can't figure out, I had governance 1 over the weekend, and I was discussing with an attorney there.
Glenn, can I stop you for a minute? I don't think we're supposed to be doing cross
No,
conversations
because
or
okay.
questions that way. You can direct it to me if you have a question or a comment, but,
Well, because apparently there were some private conversations about having more information about why this is now, something that everyone's
You
against.
can ask your question here.
Well, I am, the financial part of it. That's what I can't square that.
Mr. Board President? Yes. Ms. Carino, the board budget philosophy used an average per pupil cost of $15,000 when calculating a total annual cost for the projected new students coming into the school district. The $15,000 was an average from the certified tuition rates from the state of New Jersey. The per pupil costs vary per grade level. At the kindergarten grade levels, the per pupil costs are less than they are at the elementary level, which are less than they are at the high school level, which are far less than they are in the special education departments, where they could range in excess of $50,000, $60,000 a pupil for special ed programs. So to give the board a taste of the financial consequences of taking on 200, 250 new students, we multiplied the number of new students by $15,000, which is an average. That is completely different than the way that the charter schools calculate tuition, which is statutorily defined by taking your preceding year's aid from the state to support your adequacy budget, called equalization aid, which Monroe receives 0, so that's not part of the equation. And then it takes 85% of your preceding year's general fund tax levy, increases it by the CPI, then gives a prorated amount of categorical aid based upon the number of students leaving the district to the charter school by the total number of students, and that's how they calculate the $10,800. So to compare the Hatikva tuition per pupil that's charged by the state, as Ms. DeMeo said, is comparing apples and oranges to the average per pupil's cost used in the budget philosophy presentation. But it is 100% factual that the district is being invoiced from the state directly about $10,900 per pupil who elects on their own to attend the charter school, and we have to pay them transportation costs of $884, I believe.
Thank you, Mr. Gorski. Any other question or comment? We had a second, so now I guess we're ready to vote on adopting this motion. Mr. Gorski?
Thank you. Motion on the floor was made by Ms. DeMeo to essentially resolve an opposition to Hatikva's expansion into grades 6 through 8, an opposition to the pending application by Hatikva for expansion, which is currently under review by the New Jersey Department of Education, and directs the Business Administrative Board Secretary to send a copy of the resolution to the Commissioner of Education, the Governor, and all legislators representing Monroe Township. Ms. Arminio?
Yes.
Mr. Braverman? Yes. Ms. DeMeo?
Yes.
Mr. Kaufman? Yes. Mrs. Kolpanowicz?
Yes.
Mr. Nostine?
Yes.
Ms. Carino?
No.
Mr. Ryback?
Yes.
Mr. Russo?
No.
Mr. Rutsky?
I abstain.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Board President, members of the Monroe Board of Education, motion passes.
Thank you. Now we're ready for our superintendent's report. Dr. Kozak?
Thank you, Mr. President. At the request of one of our board members back in December, and this is something I would do anyway, I prepared just a short mid-year report on the district goals. Give me a tough act to follow there, hopefully this will be a little bit lighter. We had 3 district goals that were identified, and the screen is up there. I know it's difficult to see. Eventually, when everyone's using Google Drive, you'll see it right up there. But the first goal was to develop and present a plan to the board for its approval that will address enrollment growth and facility needs, and to begin implementation of the board-approved plan. I'm going to go through the first goal. If you could scroll down. Yeah, thank you. And okay. This was developed at the board retreat back in, I believe it was August. And at that time, then I developed an action plan after that retreat based on the goals. So the first several columns you see were the action plan that was developed, and I submitted that to the board probably in August, September at the latest. And I added a column here that just basically says mid-year status. So I'll go through each of the activities briefly and just let you know where we are with that. So with that first goal, the first activity was to develop, or to discuss overall concerns regarding enrollment with the board and administrative staff. That activity is complete. The issue of our growing student enrollment has been addressed via retreats, board meetings, leadership meetings, and in the Falcon Flyer. The second part of that was to design a plan to outline steps to engage the community in discussions of growing student enrollment and create a steering committee and ad hoc committee. That too is complete at this time. Both the steering committee and the ad hoc committee have been formed and are operating. The steering committee is overseeing the plan of engaging the community, and the ad hoc community has studied the current and projected effects of the growing student enrollment. The next activity was to engage the services of a district architect, facilitator, and other professionals as needed. This is ongoing. An outside facilitator has been approved by the board and is currently working with the steering, ad hoc, and student growth advisory committees in facilitating the community engagement meetings. And our first one with the entire group, about 100 community members and staff and Board of Ed members, occurred this past Monday night. The district architect is not engaged as the recommendation from the various committees have not been identified yet. And the overall goal was that the recommendations would come more from the community on how to address it. They would make the recommendations to the board, and the board has the final authority on how to proceed with that. The next section is identify methods of communication to invite members to participate in our meetings. This is complete, although it's still ongoing with the communication, but constant contact, email, Facebook, and Twitter, and the Falcon Flyer have been implemented. The next section is to schedule initial meetings with a tentative schedule for future meetings. Meetings are scheduled and they're ongoing. The monthly meetings, same thing with the next, they are ongoing. We have our monthly meetings occurring. The next activity was to plan the agendas and informational sheets to be used during the monthly community meetings. And that is complete at this point. We have informational fact sheets and presentations that have been developed by Mr. Tagg, Mr. Gorski, Dr. Albick, and myself in collaboration with the board president in what needs to be addressed and the areas that are stressing our facilities and our schools. The monthly meetings are ongoing, as I said, and the developed potential models for dealing with the growing student enrollment is in progress. We're not at that point yet. This is a year-long goal. The last part of this would be the presentation of the models to the public, and again, that would be planned at a future date. as well as the ad hoc committee discussing the models and working toward a final model and/or solution. These are all things that have not been accomplished yet. The second goal was the expansion of two-way communication with all stakeholders in the Monroe community, including but not limited to the utilization of constant contact, social media, and in-person meetings. I won't go through every single part of that, but basically we have the Falcon Flyer now. We also have a Falcon Express, which is used. The Falcon Flyer comes out once a month, details information in the district, talks about the Student Growth Advisory Committee. We have community information on that. And the Falcon Express comes up when we have something to send out during the month that we feel that would be of interest to the parents and/or community. We have encouraged as many people as possible, and it's still open for anybody to sign up for the Falcon Flyer. I believe right now we have somewhere in the vicinity of 5,000 to 6,000 people receiving this every month. One of the parts of this goal was to attend the back-to-school nights, to meet and greet parents and discuss expanded communication initiatives. Back in September, I attended 10 of the back-to-school nights. The middle school had multiple back-to-school nights, and I addressed the parents at those meetings, talking about where we were headed and where we were going, and the goal of increasing our communication, two-way communication, so that we hear what the parents and the community have concerns about, as well as us being able to disseminate the information of what's going on in our schools. The third goal is to complete an external audit of the special education program from K to 12 to ensure continued delivery of the highest quality services to meet the needs of our children in the most cost-effective and efficient manner possible. The initial part of that is complete. We had a committee in the district that looked at 3 proposals that were submitted. We selected one of the firms. We submitted it to the board for approval. The board approved it, and we just had our first weekly conference call this past Monday. We have identified the 3 in-district meetings where they'll come in and conduct interviews with community members, board members, staff, parents. Nothing confidential, no student confidentiality will be breached, and that it will occur in the last week in February. After that, they will compile the results of not only the interviews, but the multitude of data that we are sending them, plus the data that's available through the public domain, and they will come back to the leadership team and to the board to present their recommendations, their findings. We're hoping to be able to use the recommendations as a plan, as a roadmap, if you will, for the next maybe 3 to 5 years, and hopefully be able to improve, as has been stated tonight. We continually try to improve our services to our students. And we're hoping for some very good recommendations based on this firm's work with districts not only in New Jersey, they also work with the city of Philadelphia, and they've worked with school districts throughout the country. So we're hoping that their panel of experts will be able to come in and at least provide some valid recommendations that we can use to improve our services. That concludes my superintendent report, Mr. President, and then I would like to move to...
Yes, we have personnel. Thank you, Dr. Kozak. On the personnel, page 6 on your agenda, I'd like a motion to approve items A through S.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Mr. Gorski, I think we do a roll call on this, right?
Yes. Beg your pardon, who was second? Kathy? Ms. Arminio?
Any discussion on those?
Yes, sorry.
Actually, I think I don't have a discussion, sorry. If anybody else does.
Anyone else?
No, sorry.
Okay.
You want to try that again, Mr. Gorski?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll respond properly.
Oh, sorry about that. Ms. Arminio?
Yes.
Braverman? Ms. DeMayo?
Yes.
Mr. Kaufman?
Yes.
Mrs. Koloponowicz?
Yes.
Mr. Nostein?
Yes.
Ms. Carino?
Yes.
Mr. Rybeck?
Yes.
Mr. Russo? Mr. Rutsky?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Motion passes. Item 5, board action. Items A through K, I'd like a motion to approve items A through K.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Now we'll do a roll call vote.
I do have one on
Okay.
on page 10, board action from A to, on professional development. I think I had a question regarding, would that be the background information, professional leave requests? Would that be the same?
Yes, there is some information in the background information, but is there something in particular that
I think I was asking about the football clinic.
Yes. I checked with our athletic director, Mr. Byer, on that, and there actually is, besides the football clinic, there are other members of the staff who are also attending non-football clinics that is not costing the district any money. Those individuals are paying for the professional development themselves, and they are simply asking for the day to attend the professional development.
There's 4 days.
Yes,
Those
I think
were
they're all
granting-
Fridays, they're at different months, and because it's sponsored by, I forget who sponsors it, but they're held at different locations.
Right.
Yes.
And we're not picking up any transportation costs or anything?
No, they'll probably put in for reimbursement for, no, they're not putting in reimbursement
There's
for
no
travel.
cost.
Wow.
No cost.
That would have been listed on your backup sheets.
Okay, and then I think I also had a question about the field trips. And we were asking, I asked whether, on some of them that, it says it's funded by the district, but there was no cost involved, just like the Winter Guard competition.
Winter Guard competitions would be covered through the athletic budget, and it's a cost for the buses to and from the competitions. So if there's no cost there, it's just the cost of transportation.
Okay, but that's already budgeted within,
Yes.
but it really is a cost to the district, so I don't know.
It's in the district budget, yes.
Okay.
But it's just the transportation cost to and from the competitions.
Well, could we make some kind of notation that there is, that we don't have to put the transportation cost in, but we should know that there is a cost some.
That's where the second to last column has a D. It's funded by D. D is the district, S is the student.
Right.
So if there's a D and there's no cost, the only cost that we're covering is the transportation cost.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Any other question? Ms. Clausen.
Ms. Arminio.
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Braverman. Ms. DeMayo.
Yes.
Mr. Kaufman.
Yes to all, recuse on H items P5337. I'm sorry, let me take that from the top. Recuse on all items under H except P5337, P5516.
So noted. Mrs. Kolpanowicz.
Yes.
Mr. Nostine.
Yes.
Ms. Carino.
Yes.
Mr. Rybeck.
Yes.
Mr. Russo.
Yes.
And Mr. Rutsky.
I believe I'm abstaining on all these.
Very well, thank you.
Thank you. And we'll move to the business administrator's report.
Mr. Board President and members of the Monroe Township Board of Education, it is recommended that board action items A through J be approved by consent roll call.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions?
Don't look at me.
Thank you. I don't see any hands for questions.
I'll take a roll call then. Ms. Arminio?
Yes on everything, abstain on J.
So noted, thank you. Mr. Braverman? Ms. DeMayo?
Yes on everything, abstain on J.
So noted. Mr. Kaufman?
Yes.
Mrs. Kolpanowicz?
Yes.
Mr. Nostine?
Yes.
Ms. Carino?
Yes.
Mr. Ryback?
Yes.
Mr. Russo? And Mr. Rutsky.
Okay, so I believe I abstain, with the exception of letter A, item
You
1.
did?
Yeah, well, you're not getting any.
Then letter B, F, and G,
Oh,
where I
okay.
vote yes.
All right, I didn't know that.
Thank you, though.
So noted. Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Board President's report. There's two things I really am going to bring up, and the second one I'm going to ask Mr. Mayo to report a little bit on some more facts that occurred. Let me start by saying this past Monday, we had the first meeting of the Student Growth Advisory Committee. This is a group of approximately 100 volunteers forming a cross-section of our community, administrators, teachers, students, parents, and seniors. The ad hoc committee members who have previously worked through some exercises based on growth information joined this group to continue to develop what will result in a series of recommendations to the board on how best to meet the challenges of our growing student enrollment. Mrs. DeMayo will now report more specifically on this meeting.
Okay, there was about 100 people there, and what we first did is we watched a short film on the crowded hallways in the middle school, so everybody could get a sense of how crowded the school is. We also watched, the film also included clips on the long lines in the high school lunchroom, so people could get a sense of what the high school is dealing with. This was a way to give the committee a visual of the overcrowding that we're facing. Dr. Ivory, our facilitator, had us working in groups of 4 and 5. We had a large sheet in front of us, and he asked us to write down on the outer edge some long-term solutions for our growth problem that we're experiencing in Monroe. And prior to this, we had a presentation that actually talked about the expected growth from all the new developments being brought into Monroe. So the thought was that you just write down all your thoughts, about solutions, whether they're feasible or not feasible. Then as a group, we talked about them and we picked the top ones that we felt were reasonable solutions. There were good discussions in every group. I felt like everybody was engaged in the process and interested in what was going on. And after we were finished, we all presented our ideas to the group. There was no judgments made on the ideas. We just listened. And then these sheets were taken and they're going to be compiled up, and those are what are going to be the notes, so everybody can see the ideas that came forward.
Thank you. I just think it's important to emphasize that there is no preconceived answers. We're really working together with the community to try and meet the challenges of this amount of growth that we're going to see. So we're looking forward. We're looking forward to our future meetings, and we are trying to keep to a timeline because that's a key factor, especially if we do have to start developing or building on to making additions. Next, on this past Monday, yes.
Just a quick question. I was wondering if we could possibly get a Student Growth Advisory Committee folder on Google Drive so that we can all have access to whatever information is being
Yes, I think that's something that we're talking about right now.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Anyone else? On Monday, Dr. Kozak, Mr. Gorski, and I met with Mayor Tamboro, Business Administrator Wayne Hamilton, Senator Linda Greenstein, her Chief of Staff Jim Hooker, Assemblyman Dan Benson, and a representative for Assemblyman Wayne D'Angelo, to discuss state aid and school taxes in general. The impact of anticipated new students on the town and school system was the center of our discussion. To be more exact, we talked about stabilization, impact fees, the cap on the growth aid formula, limiting the number of new developments, COA's impact on the master plan, frozen state aid, the antiquated Rutgers survey, which is what's used by the state in determining the impact of a new development, and the very popular topic of unfunded mandates. Mr. Gorski developed a chart depicting the increase in student population and decrease in state aid since 2009-2010 school year. He also developed a second page where he showed the 40% decrease in state aid, yet a 16.5% increase in enrollment over the 6-year period beginning 2009-2010. Our discussions were frank and positive. I suggested that we invite Commissioner Hesby to Monroe to meet with us and tour the schools. Mayor Tamboro suggested we extend an invitation to Senator Stephen Sweeney for a separate meeting and tour. Our elected officials will be looking into the issues discussed. We all agreed to meet again in the near future. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank Mayor Tamboro for organizing this meeting. I don't know if Dr. Kozak or Mr. Gorski, you have anything you'd like to add?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Ryback. This is such an important topic. If anything I'm going to say is redundant to what you just said, it's worth saying twice. We presented information illustrating the extreme divergence in the decrease in state aid versus the increase in student enrollment. 40% decrease in state aid over the last 6 years, along with a 16.5% increase in student enrollment from the ASSA state reports themselves. We talked about the state aid formula going through the adequacy budget calculation, which leads to equalization aid in specifics for Senator Greenstein. We talked about the inadequacy of the adequacy formula, specifically for Monroe. And two matters that have hurt Monroe greatly recently with the freeze in state aid funding under a term called stabilization. Basically, if the state coffers are low and they don't have the full amount of money to fund the formula, they will stabilize districts by freezing aid, which is wonderful for districts of large urban areas where they have perhaps decreasing enrollment because they're receiving more aid per pupil over time, but significantly hurts Monroe with our 3 to 4% student enrollment increases every year. We talked about unfunded mandates, many having to do with transportation and the demographics in town that require us to spend over $1 million a year in our transportation budget to safely commute children back and forth to school. And unique to this meeting, we addressed a topic that was advocated for by the Democrats, and that is to have a constitutional convention to change the state funding formula. Previously, many professional organizations, including New Jersey School Board, New Jersey PSA, have advocated for keeping the current funding formula and supporting it, but to try to advocate for the state to increase the funding that goes into the allocation each year. What we introduced was a bit unique and a little bit rebellious. We said that Monroe really has no foreseeable gains in the future under the current state funding formula, even with full funding. Basically, if the formula was fully funded, which it hasn't been since Corzine administration, Monroe would receive about an additional $6 to $7 million a year. That's essentially what our bills S272 and A1500 would provide out of respect and sympathy to the large senior population and the tax burden that they're suffering with. So we represented to the Democrats that we would align with them and support a constitutional convention changing the state funding formula, because that's the only way Monroe, in our opinion, is going to get a material amount of fair and equitable funding. And optimistically, as Mr. Ryback said, we are going to have audience in the future, thanks to Senator Greenstein, to meet with Commissioner Hespy and Senator Sweeney. The Senator Sweeney piece is important because Senator Greenstein was unoptimistic that we would have any gains in state aid or promotion of our legislation under the current administration. But if that should change, we would have audience with one of the front runners in that race to promote our cause. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just briefly. Thank you, Mr. President. Just briefly, Mr. Gorski and Mr. Ryback certainly stated everything well in what was said. I just wanted to add, in my visits around the state to talking with other superintendents and attending the Commissioner of Education's convocation, which is He does once a year, and he has a convocation in the north, the central, and the south to meet with superintendents and discuss issues, and he brings his Department of Education staff, or most of them. The question of funding has come up, and the answer that we're getting is that, yes, there is a formula, and no, we're not following it, but if they were to actually follow it, the districts that have lost enrollment would lose funding. And that they don't want to do that, basically. So the districts that have gained enrollment, Monroe is one of several throughout the state. We're being penalized for we're not getting any additional support for the additional students we're getting, and the only reason that we're getting back is that they don't want to penalize the districts that have lost enrollment. So it doesn't seem to make much sense, but I will tell you that my conversations with superintendents throughout the state, that we are working together as well. And many of the districts the superintendents and their boards of education are working with their municipalities. And I think this voices are getting louder and louder. And hopefully will be heard at the state level and maybe address this inequity in funding.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Would anybody like to comment or question anything? Okay, I'd like to move on next to other board business. Does anyone have anything to raise or for other board business? Well, I do. I'd like to consider our board goal number 3. I think it's time that we have to start having a little bit of a discussion on it. And let me read it to you because I know you probably don't have it in front of you. It's to review the board committee organization and structure processes. So I'd like to know if anyone has any thoughts or would like to bring up any ideas so that this has to be accomplished this year, by the end of the year, and if we're going to do something, I think we need to start thinking about it. Any thoughts? Ms. Arminio?
I just want to be clear about the
Yeah,
question.
I caught you raise your hand this time.
You're talking about how the board proceeds, either as a board of a whole or as board committees?
Well, I think that can be part of it, unless maybe someone has some ideas about changing something or altering something or leaving it the way it is.
I would be happy to discuss some changes, but I don't have anything specific. I'd like to think about it, and I think it would be a good idea to sort of deliberate
I just wanted to
on it.
raise it as a point of discussion, and just, you can put it certainly in the back of your minds for a moment. If you want, I might be able to call New Jersey school boards and ask them to come in if you feel we can have an exercise as we did last year. That might help us with some ideas.
Yeah,
in the not too distant future. But. Jill?
What I would like to see is a better flow of communication. I would like to see the...
You mean between board members?
From the committees to the board members.
Yes,
because
okay.
we can't go to all the committee meetings. It would be nice if the committee notes got posted in the Google Docs, so we didn't have to wait until the once-a-month board meeting to find out what everybody else was doing in their committees.
I think that's one of the advantages that Dr. Kosak even put down for us on it. But yes, it's a great suggestion.
I mean, we can still present so
yes.
everybody in the, audience can hear, but it would be nice, so if there's any questions or...
Okay, so that's one idea. Kathy?
Does Dr. Kosak do that now? Don't you include committee reports with your Friday Confidential?
I do. That's with the Friday Confidential, but if a committee meeting occurs on a Tuesday night, that information wouldn't go out till Friday. With Google Docs, we can put the agenda right in Google Drive. You can see the agenda before the committee meets, and then we can actually take notes either during the committee. I'm not the best typist, so I usually do it afterward, maybe that night or the next morning, and as soon as I post it into Google Drive, it would be there for all to see. So it would be similar. We do send it out, but this might be just a little bit quicker.
But we could still do both, because for the people who like the hard copy.
Sure.
Thank you, Kathy. I appreciate that.
I like to get it.
Tom?
Just following up on what Ms. Kalapanic was saying, we could then have the personnel notes on there, for example, because they are confidential, and of course, Google Drive is confidential, correct?
Absolutely. Great point, Mr. Nussey. Absolutely. Yes.
So why don't I say this, why don't you just think about things, and then maybe we can, next time we come together, or we can be a little more definitive in what we're suggesting. Mr. Mayo, or Minio, I'm sorry.
I don't know if it would be the purview of the policy committee, but if anybody wanted to, we could start with Google Notes, I guess, have this discussion. But I would want to make sure that we would not substitute this for deliberating in public, because this is a, public forum, and the public should know. Once we're informed, I still think we should have deliberation in public, because that's really the essence of the Open Public Meetings Act and our responsibility
Transparency
here.
is key, and I think that
Okay.
goes without question.
Thank you.
Yes. Anyone else? Okay. And now we come to the second public forum where you can speak on, for 3 minutes, on any issue that you're interested in. Again, let me remind you to please state your name, your address, and speak directly to me, not to individual board members who will not be commenting or answering any specific question. Is anyone in the public interested in addressing the board? Okay, seeing no one, we'll move on to the closed session resolution. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Township of Monroe hereby moves into the closed session in accordance with the Sunshine Law, Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975, NJSA 10-4-6 through 10-4-21, to discuss the following subjects: harassment, intimidation, and bullying. Following closed session, action may be taken. The discussion conducted in closed session can be disclosed to public at such time as the need for confidentiality no longer exists.
So moved.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. I don't think this will take too long, maybe 10, 15 minutes at the most. Thank you.
About all in favor?
Oh, we vote on, oh, I'm sorry.
Huh? Well,
All right, let's take a vote. All in favor?
aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're ready for the next public forum. I don't see one from the public there. Is there someone? Okay, well, the next public forum would be addressing the closed session. Is anybody from the public interested in coming up? Okay, that being the case, let me just say that the next scheduled meeting of our Board of Education will be Wednesday, February 10th at 7 o'clock right here in the high school. I'd like a motion for adjournment. That's fast. Any discussion? Lou, you have discussion? No, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, we're adjourned.